Salutations everyone, this is Razor bringing you guys another Overwatch 2 video here today talking about what I determined to be one of the most underrated characters in the game. Definitely the most underrated support. Not that, he's a bad support. There's only one bad support and her name is Brigitte, and she's just not good. Has not been in any iteration of Overwatch 2 since official release, and that is sad. She's getting some sort of rework, and boy, it better be decent because we're playing down a support right now to pick from in a class that's many people have their problems playing as the type of abilities that we get and how much impact we can have. But Zenyatta is not one that is low for impact, I would say. There's a couple of things that especially the pros will always complain about as overpowered in this game. One-shot, headshot, Widowmaker, and Discord Orb. They hate the idea of both of those interactions happening in the game because they're very strong. They can swing an entire fight, and doesn't take a lot to get going. As far as it's not a combo, right? It's like Pharmercy, which is very strong, but you need to have a Pharah and a Mercy. Not a tall order, but not exactly a super popular DPS pick. It's not like Genji is getting the exact same value out of Mercy as Pharah does, but obviously he still does get value. Everybody does. But what also gives everybody value? Zenyatta, because Discord Orb. He's not going to provide you the best heals. Granted, he does output more heals in Overwatch 2 than he did in Overwatch 1. I think all of the support you could say that about, except for the Brigitte, because again, their kit is just not very good. But you'd be surprised how much healing you can get out of Zen if you are mostly used to seeing Zenyatta from Overwatch 1. He didn't get that much heals. Transcendence was pretty decent, a good counter, Graviton or Blossom or, Shatter. It's a nice ultimate. Definitely not one of the better ones, even in its own category, but it's useful. It gets, it's guaranteed value unless you get anti-nated, right? So it's a nice ult. Definitely not a super duper strong one. It can swing a fight, but so can Widow sights technically, but you're not inherently getting a lot of value out of that, especially consistently. But what makes Zenyatta good? What makes him strong? What makes him underrated? He doesn't pair super well with a lot of the tanks. He's not going to give you as much healing or burst healing or a cleanse ability or a frisbee of anti-death, right? Like you can get with the other characters. He can't res, and he doesn't have a super great ult like Kitsune Rush, things like that. But he's consistency, and you don't use him for the healing. You use him for the damage. And depending on your comp, you can maximize the value off of the Discord Orb. And also depending on the map, right? He's not going to be great in a lot of circumstances, but I would say for your payload and especially your hybrids, Zenyatta's going to be very good. Why especially good on the hybrids? Because of that Discord Orb power. Nobody really expects the Zenyatta. He's got a very low pick rate. I mean, when was the last time you saw one in any of your games, let alone like 2 in a single session? Pretty low, right? Even with the extra value he has of the snap kick, Sparta kick, whatever you want to call it. But the Discord Orb to break that first point, that hybrid point to unlock the payload, much like a big sleep or an anti-nade or a Widow headshot, something that just can get instant surprise value. Discord Orb is like that. Especially with Hog Hook not being nearly as strong anymore, you're mostly still going to get the kill, but it's not 100% guaranteed on every character anymore. Discord Orb it provides you even more value than a single hook did, because you get the Discord on their main support, right? And you get a cheeky couple of headshots, boom, they're gone. Or you get it on their tank, your tank jumps on them, and they just kind of win that tank fight super quickly. And you're unlocking that payload rather quickly without needing to build up to an ultimate or hitting some kind of crazy skill shot or a really good flank that's unnoticed. Discord Orb can be all that you need in many of these circumstances. And his healing output isn't really bad, especially if we look at how people are playing right now. Since the Genji nerf, which this always seems to happen, whether the nerfs are super impactful or not, anytime any character gets nerfed, there is an effect on the player base that makes them pick that character less because they feel like, oh, they got nerfed, they have less value, I shouldn't pick them as much, no matter what it is. People are just, mentally gonna feel like that's not as good of a pick, so they're just not gonna go with it. Or, if it's off meta, they're not gonna go with it. And right now, we don't see a lot of flankers. Like Sombra isn't. I mean, she was insane for a little bit, and then she got brought down to earth, and now nobody's playing Sombra. So the flank style of that is not super duper common. Tracers aren't, really rare, but we're not seeing much right now. People aren't in the dive system anymore. We aren't seeing like we did in Season 1. We saw a decent amount of Winston. We aren't seeing Winston anymore, really. We aren't seeing a whole lot of Doomfist like we did in the beta. We aren't seeing Wrecking Ball just because he just cannot provide as much value as a lot of us would like. And we get a big transcendence here, keeping everybody up. We win the tank battle. We get the Discord on the Bastion, taking out turrets, taking out Sims, taking out Moiras, getting play of the game on a 15 kill streak, snap kicking the Lucio off of the payload so he can't stall even for a second. We get a stagger on them here. The Hog comes out, and this is pre-nerf Hog. He comes out with his take a breather, but Discord Orb can kind of close that gap. If they, they got the nade on them, so they're getting more healing, or is taking a breather, or they're getting, umbrellaed by Baptiste. That Discord Orb isn't going to go away in any of those circumstances. So once they blow all of those cooldowns, and a shout out to my 18-0 start here, pretty darn good if I do say so myself. Once they blow all their cooldowns with whatever low HP interaction that they were trying to avoid, the Discord is still on them, and your teammates can hold W. Zenyatta does, well with, your mobile tanks, which aren't used very much right now when it comes to getting a consistent heal on a Winston or something. And some people feel a little bit more comfortable in the backline as Zen than other backliners. But people are playing, they're still playing a lot of Roadhog. People are playing Orisa, and people aren't diving on the backlines right now. And as Zen, not as much as like a Mercy, who is being ignored. A Mercy being ignored, she's getting a res every single 30 seconds, right? And that's nothing in the game can beat that, no matter what you do. But a Zen that is ignored, throwing discords, getting as many kills as I am, I'm not getting pressured. I'm playing in a smart position. I'm not going for huge, big volleys, trying to be the main sniper. I'm keeping my tanks alive, and I'm giving my DPS, as well as my Reinhardt when fighting the Roadhog, the opportunity to win those fights at the front line. And, Zen, he doesn't have the drop-off. While he can be, picked off by your long ranges, your Ashes, your Widows, things of that nature. If Zen isn't being contested, he holds some of the biggest value in the game. When I've played Zenyatta, especially, in this game, I'm not being pressured, I'm not being targeted, and I output a crap ton of value in this game. It's absolutely ridiculous the amount of value that I get because the enemy team is sort of allowing me to do it. And it's a bit more sneaky than some other carry potential characters, right? Same reason that people ignore Mercy. They just think, oh, she's just a heal bot and maybe she reses. People ignore her, so she gets more healing than any other character in the game, even a Moira, right? Because Moiras are more focused on doing other things, and that's where you get her value. You're using Moira as a heal bot or Kiriko as a heal bot, you're not going to get the value. That's not how you should be playing those characters. Whereas Mercy, switching between the damage and the heals, she's going to get consistent value, sneaky value, and then she's going to get ignored. She's going to get those big reses in. And Discord Orb is just kind of something that people ignore. It's sneaky value. Now, people can get, pissed off, especially if you keep getting sniped by them in the head while being Discord by Zenyatta, especially when it's just a blind shot around a corner and they walk right into it. Feels really great as a Zen, feels really bad on the other side of that, right? Getting that consistent pressure. And if you have something like a big shield Reinhardt that they have to focus on, that's a big shield. It's the biggest shield in the game. It's gonna have he's gonna have great time to deal aggression. They even went with a Bastion here, which is a good play. It's smart, and they're even getting the res off of these things. Trancing to pull off a guaranteed res is always going to be big value. Always has been, always will be. Our Reinhardt does a little bit of shield surfing right there, toggling his shield off and off on the whole hog, and thanks to the Discord Orb, I'm able to finish that guy off, pressuring out the Bastion so he can't, continue to be in the fight after getting out of a super tank mode, and then just, peek volley, Bastion's gone. I didn't put myself in too much danger there. Unfortunately, a Reinhardt does get antied, and he was already low. I wasn't able to heal him. And their Symmetra is unaccounted for. The reason I might say Zenyatta is not the most underrated character in the game is because Symmetra exists. A lot of people don't seem to realize. Some people think Symmetra is weak and the worst DPS and needs to be buffed. Symmetra is like high-key one of the best characters in the game right now. Like, I don't know if you guys have been playing recently or if you're like, too low of a level where no one's smart enough to pick Symmetra, but she actually can kind of hardcore carry, which is crazy to ever say in Overwatch, but she's got crazy value and nobody is stopping her. The ways to stop her on Overwatch 1 got stopped and nerfed all the time. We don't have a second tank to deal with that anymore. Winston's not good right now, and he cannot deal with her turrets the way that he used to. So, you can always snap kick people out of the umbrella as well, but I wasn't able to get that done in time. However, we are able to capitalize on it since he did not have enough of the Baptiste heals. So we get the Shatter off. I got another Transcendence ready to go. So as you can see, the best combo is a Mercy not getting stopped and a Zen not getting stopped. And we got both going on in our team right here. So we're kind of unstoppable, especially with a Rein. And it doesn't have to be a Rein, but he's going to be able to brawl. He can get a lot of value out of a Mercy pocket. He has a lot of HP, he's got a lot of armor, and he's got the biggest shield, to where even Whole Hog, one of the best ultimates in the entire game, is not getting the value that it should, because I'm discording the Hog, which is going to make him have to take a breather, or his healers are going to need to give him more support than they are used to in those situations, because usually nothing can stop a Whole Hog, unless he gets slept or anything, because and then obviously not woken up, because it got uber buffed time and time again, to where guess what, it's like the Genji problem. When you keep getting buffed and buffed and buffed and buffed, suddenly that character becomes super strong, and that's what happened with Roadhog. Got uber giga buffed time after time after time, and it caught up with the devs. It definitely caught up with the devs, and we kind of got punished for it, and still are a little bit. He didn't get a huge nerf. There are still more things that are going to be done with his kit supposedly, but Zenyatta uncontested, whether they have to worry about a Winston going in on them, or a Sigma utilizing their cooldown super duper well, they're going to have to ignore me or Mercy. And that is just going to be a winning combo. So Zen, not always going to be a great pick depending on the map or your tank, but in a circumstance where he can get some range and is not getting countered by the enemy team, they didn't do anything to stop me. Look what I did in this game. And look at the amount of heals I was able to output. That's how you know they were not stopping me. I had key uses of my Transcendence that helped us actually win fights, more so than it probably should have. I'm picking up play of the game and winning, going 30-5 with 28 assists. I got 4,786 damage amplified, because people aren't stopping the Discord orbs. There's, only a few ways to do it. They weren't doing it, and the best way to do it would be to dive Zenyatta, try to stop Zenyatta. People ignore soldiers and mercies all the time. Why not Zen? Give it a try more often in maps where he works out with a healing partner that can make up for Zen's weaknesses in the burst heal game. And he absolutely farms and carries. I've seen it on the enemy team, and I've seen it in my own gameplay as well. So I would say pick Zen a little bit more often. If they stop you, quickly switch. If they don't, it's some of the easiest wins you can get in this game.